All right. We're recording.
We're on. We're back.
I think that gets everything in. I can't quite see the frame.
Yeah, no, I'll test it before it does.
Should be all right. Wow.
I'm Jake.
Hey, Ben.
Nice to meet you.
We're from Hunt the Night.
Yeah. It's been a long...
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so we haven't recorded properly since we moved shops, which was September.
Yeah. It's been a long time. We snuck out to do the XL60, but that's about it.
Yeah, but what happens when you triple the size of the business? We've gone from 4 people at the old shop to 9, 11.
And 11 now,
at the new shop. So we're sorry. We're sorry we haven't been entertaining.
Very busy too.
The number of calls we got when you guys are going to start recording again. You guys need to start recording it. You guys need to... I know. It's been...
Trust us, we know.
It's been so busy. But we've got our new set. It's set up.
Yep.
We're ready to go. We're in the new shop.
Yeah.
There's no stopping us except phone calls, orders.
Time.
But we're going to make time because I used to know a quote that said you can make time or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. So now, once you heard that, you can't undo it, can you?
No.
Oh, wow. And we've got a lot to talk about today. There's been so
We've got a lot to talk about in general.
In general.
There's a lot of stuff that really hit the market when we were MIA, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
For that
and
break.
some of it we might touch on today and go into a bit more detail in other areas, but it's a good thing to have a chat because, since September, there's been a lot of product comes out. We've seen, obviously, the NocPix range.
Yeah, which is, NocPix has launched fully.
And Infraray's kind of mostly disappeared.
Yep.
Like we're getting the Finder for the next kind of 8, maybe 10 months, but that's about it. All their scopes are gone. All the other products are gone. We've rolled them into the NocPix range. We haven't seen good product consistency in terms of stock levels yet of the NocPix scopes, which is
we don't talk about that
because they are unreal. We've got ThermTech have dropped their new range. Now we're going to talk about some ThermTech stuff today, but we'll do next week's episode. We'll look at the new range of scopes because there's a fair bit to get through on them, especially the way they've done their new dual field of view setups, which is fantastic. The image quality of those things is bloody unreal. We've got the Condor 2.0s, the Falcon 2.0s. From Hick Micro, we've got the new Cyclone, which is the smallest monocular we've seen, and image quality on that is just fantastic. We'll talk about the purpose for that in a minute as well. NocPix Lumi with the rangefinder as well. And then we've also got these. These are the brand new NocPix Quest, which are actually launching today, 28th.
Yeah.
Okay, these are launching. EWA in Germany starts today. And they're launching these today, and the form factor on
they're tiny
is unreal. The other thing we're going to have a chat about today, a little bit later on in the episode as well, is how to select and mount a roof mount monocular. Yeah, because there are so many different opinions on it,
and there's different ways to do it.
Different ways to do it. There's different lens sizes and sensor sizes, and the best way to handle that. We're going to cover that off because there's been a heap of misinformation lately.
A lot.
And we've covered off in previous videos that I did a couple of years ago on our YouTube channel, but we're really actually going to talk in depth about that today and a couple of different mounting options.
We explain this a little bit too, like when people call up, like we mentioned what the quickest way to explain it is, what we're going to run through today. Yeah. To maybe save that extra 5 minutes. On the phone,
also just to help people understand how this stuff actually works, because how it works and how people think it works are generally two different things. So we'll get into that a little bit as well. What do you want to say? You want to start with the Vista?
Yeah,
Let's start left to right.
New big boy from NocPix, the Vista.
But we've seen the Vista. We've talked about the Vista previously. What is this?
That's why I mentioned big boy.
Big boy.
This is a 1280.
1280.
Monocular.
So this is the first 1280 monocular we've actually seen on the market. So Pulsar have got their 1280 binoculars. Hick Micro got their 1280 binoculars, but the Telos was a 1024.
That was a 1024.
So this is the first 1280 we've seen.
1280, 50 mil with a rangefinder in the lens.
60 hertz, was it 50?
60 hertz, yep, sure is.
And 2 base mag.
2 base mag.
So decent field of view to work with.
Great field of view. Yeah. It is remote mountable.
It is. We had that remote mountable too. I'm going to put a bit of the footage on because you're going to supply that to me because it's on your iPad.
Yes, it is.
We're going to start rolling some of that footage while we're doing it.
Proprietary battery. Comes with 2 of them, and they actually last a long time. I don't even think we got
No, we didn't.
We didn't even kill it this night. Yeah,
and we're running the rangefinder fairly consistently as well. It is on the bigger side, okay, and you'll notice actually if you were to compare a Vista 50R or 35R and a 35, well, so with or without the rangefinder, they've actually got a different belt size here. Having this rangefinder built into the lens actually increases this housing. We're going to talk more about this design over the next couple of weeks and the pros and cons of it because we're seeing some cons in this design.
Yeah, still lots of pros, a lot of pros. But
you reckon?
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of pros.
With the rangefinder in the lens?
Yeah.
Sweet. So we've got a job opening. New sales guy? No, I was kidding. We'll talk about that. I'm not a fan of it, okay? Well, let's have a quick chat about it.
Well, I'm a huge fan of my TQ50 clip-on.
The clip-on.
Rangefinder in the lens.
Yep.
Mate, MAH50R has the rangefinder off the side, gains a bit of, mass, but I don't find, I've done the comparison. I mean, it is HIC micro and it is infrared, but I don't find image quality or whatnot change because the rangefinder is in the lens.
Yep.
In the clip-on sake.
Yep.
In just for that model.
Yep.
I have used other models in the field, but I use this model all the time. Yep. It's my go-to.
I would say that TQ50 is probably the exception to me.
Yes, that's why I'm mentioning it. There is pros.
Clip-on, but that clip-on's also got that high-definition screen in the back, which you don't see in any other clip-on, which I think enhances the viewing because of the optical change, okay? What I don't like, and you're seeing this in a lot of devices, is it artificially increases your focal length, okay?
Yes.
So focal length is the distance between, relative distance between the lens and the light focal point in here, okay? It's not necessarily the size of this lens. So a lot of people think because it says, S50R on it, that this is 50 mil. That's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to a GSCI scope, for instance, like a 675, it is not a 75 mil lens. It's a 75 mil local focal length, but using what's called a 1.4 f-factor f-stop lens, and that changes the focal length using a smaller size lens. So it doesn't necessarily correlate to that. No. When it's a 0.9 lens, for instance, it's actually bigger than what it actually states. So don't be fooled by saying because it's a S50R or a CQ35 that's necessarily the size of the lens. It's the size of the focal the focal length. Okay. If it's an f1 lens, it is the same size.
That's an f9.
Yeah, this is 0.9.
0.9,
correct, yeah, exactly
0.9.
right. So it artificially increases the focal length because you're not getting as much light into this lens, so it changes the relationship of where the intersection of that light focal is, so that the focal length has got to be adjusted. And we're seeing that with the combination of these big 2560 screens, we're seeing things like and this is pros and cons. I'm not saying it's all bad, but like if we have a look at, say, we're seeing a lot of the 640 sensors in 50 mil focal lengths, which you'd expect to be about 2.8 base mag, 2.6 base mag in a 12 micron, and we're seeing it now 4. Yeah. Okay.
3.8, 3.6. Yeah.
Correct. So that's the difference, right? And you see it's a bit more digital. It's not quite as optical because of the image cropping that's going on. So I'm not a fan for that reason. Okay. I'm much more of a fan of build it for a function, not what it looks like. Yeah. And these are currently being built what it looks like.
Yeah.
We've also seen in some of the bigger lenses in the 60 mils, not so much the 50 mils, we're seeing under heavy recoil, lenses explode.
Heavy recoil?
300 Win Mag, decent recoil. We're seeing lenses explode because under vibration, the lens has got nowhere to go,
We actually also had a look in regards to that lens issue. The actual lens is a tiny bit thinner where the rangefinder sat in.
Yeah. Well,
which is very interesting.
Because they've cut it in.
They've cut it in,
So when you cut it in, you're talking about vibration and harmonics going through that lens. It's going to find the weakest point.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I reckon it'll look cool. Don't get me wrong. I like the rangefinder. It's better aligned with the reticle because it's not so offset. Your ballistics calculator is better because it's not so offset. All those things. There are definitely positives about it. But for me, I'm not the biggest fan of it in terms of the overall what it does to the rest. But getting back to this, 1280, image is off its head.
It is.
Like even over Wi-Fi, we were running these. The Vistas over Wi-Fi work.
We didn't have an issue over Wi-Fi.
No,
especially with their new update.
Yeah, the new update. So the new update actually also puts ballistics into this. Now, you can't use the ballistics over the app yet. Hopefully that will come.
But it's going to be amazing. Like, you've got to take into account, you've got a thermal pair of Leica Geovids. You've got binos that have ballistics. You now have a thermal
it's not
with
AB,
ballistic.
but it's pretty close,
yes,
right?
But
perfect for, especially with the legislation changes down here in Victoria, if you're out in the bush and you're shooting across a gully, long range, 600-700 meters at deer, and you've got your ballistics in your thermal scanner with your rangefinder, and it does it now. The Pulsar, the mergers do it now as well.
Oh, ballistics.
Awesome. Yeah, my XL50s have got ballistics. But it gives you XT60s. Sorry, I got rid of the XPs. My XL, I got the
too many
XT60s.
X's.
Too many X's. Too many sensors. So they've also got now ballistics in them as well. So absolutely unreal.
That's
if you don't have ballistics in your scope, but say you're running a clip-on with a first focal plane or a ballistic reticle. You can now actually do your ballistic solving via your handheld and then go back to your scope. Yeah. Or if you're out in the bush, you can do your ballistic solving by your thermal, not having to then... Because a lot of people are carrying a thermal, they're carrying
a rangefinder,
they're carrying glass binos.
And pulling your phone out, pull your dope up. Like, I'm a huge fan of dialing. Yeah. I'm a massive fan, so...
Well, the other thing we've got in the stock now, which we'll have to cover off a different one, is these new Tactic 8 watches from Garmin, which actually hook up to all their products as well, and have actually do all the ballistics through.
Yeah, it's got AB on it.
It does have AB on it, as well.
So, that looks nice.
It is nice. I want to change the clock face a little bit. I'm not sure. Long battery in them. It's still got like 2 weeks.
Digital, I can't read analog properly.
Anyway, so these are super cool. And these actually mount up really well because the base is relatively flat through here. Yep. USB-C in through the side for charging, so it's out of the way. Bulletproof Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi on it was unreal.
And high definition back to the tablet. These are the things we've only ever seen all that combination really in the Thermtex in terms of going back, but the Vistas perform brilliantly.
Yeah.
The 50's got a pretty narrow field of view. It does. Because it's that four base mag and it's a narrow field of view. That one's not my favourite for remote mounting. Because of what they've done with the lens and the
H35R is nice though.
But the 35R.
The 35R,
But this 1280 is off its head.
Yeah.
Like absolutely sensational. While we're talking about remote mounting, look, let's just jump into selecting monocular for remote mounting.
Yeah, might as well.
We're kind of going to do that and mounting options, and then we'll talk about these other bits and pieces we've got here as well. So many binoculars we sell, people are sticking up on the spotlight handles. They're sticking on buggy attachments,
a lone shooter kit,
and a lone shooter kit, as well, streaming it back to a tablet. And then there's a few key things we talk about when we do this. Okay. Firstly, is your environment is the biggest consideration because we got to match your field of view when you're actually selecting a thermal monocular. And field of view really comes from two things. Actually, it only comes from two things. It comes from the size of the sensor, whether it's a 640 or a 384 sensor. We'll talk about that one first. A 640 sensor is going to have 50% more field of view than a 384 sensor.
Correct.
Okay. And then the lens size. A bigger lens has a narrower field of view than a smaller lens. And that's the same as standard photography. When you look at those fisheye lenses, they're small, and like that. If you want to go and watch, photographers take photos at the footy, they're using those big telescopic, massive lenses, okay? Because that creates magnification and so on. Now, there's pros and cons to both of this. I would suggest...
They do suit different parties too.
Correct, yeah. I would say remote mounting 384 sensors, if you're going to do it, you're going to stick to your smaller lenses, okay, your 25s and your 35s to create that kind of 3 base mag at the most. Now, where we see that 3 base mag is long distance scanning, like dairy farms. When you're talking about big acreage, when you're talking about open plains and open areas, stuff like that, the big lenses work really well because they create that extra magnification. You're looking for things further away, okay? Whereas opposed to the 35mm lenses or the 25mm lenses in the 384 sensor is much more your smaller paddocks, that might have tree lines.
Yeah, a bit closer range sort of stuff.
A bit closer range where things you're looking for are closer. Yeah. So if you're looking for things like, roos can typically be closer. Pigs can typically be closer. Yeah. We work with a lot of guys that are running, dogs off the back of their utes chasing pigs. You want that wide field of view, type thing that comes from those smaller lens sizes. Where if you're looking for foxes, or if you're looking for, pigs,
anything at a longer range,
anything at longer range, right? Going to a 50mm lens gives you two benefits. One, it gives you distance, but it gives you better image quality. It does. Okay.
It's not, in regards to that, it's 650, 635. The image quality is better in the 650, but it's not like enough to say, like to jump to it, because I'm still like, if you call up and say, hey, I'm a pig shooter, we're shooting mobs of pigs at maybe 200 max, I'll point you straight to a 635, 640 cents 35mm lens.
Correct.
Because you need that big field of view.
Yeah. And
you need to chase them, you've got to follow them really good. If you're at 3 base, it's going to make that a lot more difficult.
Yeah. Look, and roo harvesters are moving between, broad acreage as well.
Yeah.
You want to know it's
you need to clear a lot of ground quick.
You're going to do this because image quality comes from besides all the quality components, it comes from the amount of light that comes through the lens to the sensor.
Yeah.
The more light, the better the image quality. Simple as that.
Yep.
Okay. And it is just light we're talking about.
Yeah.
The other environmental considerations you need to think about is if you've got lots and lots of atmosphere, atmosphere is always cold.
Yes.
Okay, and can easily overwhelm a sensor, especially when you're looking uphill.
Yep.
So the 35mm lenses don't quite work as well in big atmosphere because of that extra field of view. They're seeing more of it. Okay,
yep.
And these things work on heat difference. So it's not the greater the difference in temperature, the better the image quality is going to be, because the better the subject matter is going to stand
100%.
out. Okay, so on those hot nights, especially up north, stubble paddocks, all that type of stuff that retain a lot of heat, you're going to struggle with that heat difference.
Yeah.
And atmosphere can play a big part in that as well, and can actually kind of white it out. I've heard things like the moon makes a difference. The moon does not make a difference. The moon light doesn't make a difference. The sun light doesn't make a difference either. Okay, the only thing that makes a difference is temperature difference.
It's a thermal.
It's a thermal. So the best days for this type of stuff where it actually works is kind of those
overcast, cool days,
or days like in autumn where you've had sun during the day, but then it drops off at night time and creates that big difference in temperature. That's when you start to see the bark looking really
like where you've got that 22, 23 degree day throughout the day, correct, a little bit overcast, and then at night drops down to sort of that 14
degrees.
I reckon go to that 12, 14 where it's comfortable for you, because we're fair weather shooters. You still got to be warm. But you get such a nice image. Like I've used thermal on a hot summer night. Like the other night we were out, it was 30 degrees. And it was terrible. We were seeing hot pipes, hot rocks everywhere.
But it's the same, conversely, it's the same during winter, where you've had 5 degrees all day, it's been raining all day, and there's no heat anywhere. You're going to get a very, very washed out image.
It's going to look like you're looking at a white wall.
Because there's no temperature difference. And this is the bit where people don't understand the technology. It's temperature difference that it works on. Now, hopefully, I've just put over a piece of video where I've gone down to where we used to be, and I hope this has worked. If it doesn't work, well, I haven't put it on and I apologise. But when we used to be in our old shop, there were these trees out the front, and I'd take footage of them, and the intensity of the heat of the tree would change depending how much atmosphere I had. Okay, so if I had a fair amount of atmosphere in it, there would be a lot that the tree would appear to be very, very hot. Okay, if I moved just toward the trees and cut out that atmosphere, because the atmosphere is always cold, so we've got that huge temperature difference, the tree wouldn't appear to be as hot and you wouldn't quite see as much detail. So hopefully I've still got that footage, or I've just gone and taken some and thrown it on.
It would be.
All right, I'm going to interrupt the stockcast and show you a little bit of how thermal changes with environment. And atmosphere has a huge effect on it, because thermal works on temperature difference, as we've been discussing. As I bring more and more of the atmosphere in, and the atmosphere is always cold, look how hot those trees now look, okay? Even though the trees haven't changed temperature, I bring them back where there's less atmosphere, and we get a lot more of that kind of consistent heat. If I bring more of this foreground in, which is hot because it's a road and I'm doing this during the day and there's rocks there and it holds lots of heat, those trees now look cold compared to taking it out and swinging back up towards the atmosphere where it's cold, okay? So even though none of that temperature is changing, your thermal scale is, and that changes. So when people are, talk about how things change during the night or different environments, think about what temperatures you've got going around, especially atmosphere, because atmosphere can really make things wash out. Like you can't see any detail in that tree as opposed to there, because that cold is overwhelming the sensor, as opposed to there where that temperature scale is now, everything's relatively closer in terms of temperature. So there you go, guys. That's just something we wanted to demonstrate for you.
A good example of that is maybe setting up a thermal on a tripod on like the end of the day or just before sunset and doing a quick time lapse of the temperature change coming into effect.
You can do that.
Yeah,
Jake's going to do that and have that ready for you next week.
Am I?
Now, we don't record weekly, so it could be whenever. But it's temperature difference. But that's why on those really cold days, when you get a fox come out or you get a deer come out, they look like
that's awesome.
So hot because there's a huge temperature difference between the subject matters. Okay, so as that gap closes in temperature difference, it doesn't work as well. Okay, so that's just something to think about environmentally. But in those inclement weather, if you live in humidity and large amounts of humidity, or large amounts of, rain's just humidity, but in a kind of a different form, so to speak, those type of areas, having a 50 mil lens is a huge advantage because it allows more information in through, okay? Fog as well. A bigger lens is going to give you a better image in fog than a smaller lens will. And a 640 sensor is going to allow that to work even better because it's just got more information on the lens. Now, there is something we're going to demonstrate maybe on our next video, which is if you take a 384 sensor in a 50 mil lens and a 640 sensor in a 50 mil lens, and we'll say both with 12 micron sensors, and you have them side by side, you zoom them into the exact same magnification, it's really, really hard to tell the difference between what's what.
It is.
It is. Because 640 sensors, what they really do is give you better image quality in field of view in the bottom end. But once they're actually the same kind of magnification, but we'll demonstrate.
We have this debate all the time.
Yeah, I know, and then we proved it.
Long range fox scopes.
384 sensors, big lens, simple as that. There's no need to do it.
No.
Anyway, so that's a little bit of how our process in helping you select a thermal monocular for remote mounting. Now, that information translates to using it in your hand as well. It's selecting a remote mount. The other thing we get a lot about is what's the best way to remote mount? Because we have got all the time, do I got to buy this $500-600 bracket?
No, I've done it myself.
You have?
Yes.
You've gone from a bracket to a different bracket?
Yes.
Because there's plenty of options that aren't $600-700. And honestly, it makes no difference.
I've personally got a spotlight through the roof of my car. I've done the $600-700 method, and I would go to the sub $150 method any day of the week.
Why?
Because you don't need the $700 method.
I know, it's easier too.
It is so much easier.
I mean, great innovation from these products that we see.
Oh, it's awesome. It's very structurally it's sound. It's solid, but it's just you don't need it.
No,
I
haven't found you need it either. I run them on my Polaris and stuff like that as well, through bumpy ground, wombat holes and all that. And so we got a couple of different solutions that we actually sell at a budget level. Okay?
Yeah, 100%.
We do sell, the $600
Yeah, we sell the big boys.
Well, yeah. But not often because there's a few things you can do. Now, if you've got a power beam, and this is a handheld one, a remote mounted one, but anyway, we've got this little bracket here from Smart Clip that just pop rivets onto the top of here.
The rim top,
hundreds of these things.
Yeah.
And the feedback is absolutely fantastic on them. You mount your thermal to it with a quick detach.
Yeah.
Solid as.
Yeah.
The other one which I actually really like, especially when we're testing.
This is my favourite.
is this one here.
Yeah.
Now, this comes in a single and in a dual lever. again from SmartRest as well.
Yeah.
And you can do two things with this. You can either mount your spotlight here, or you can mount your spotlight in the middle here and your thermal off to your side. So when we test it, we'll often have two different thermals running and the spotlight through the middle, just for time's sake, as well. But these are fantastic. Little quick detach on here and like that.
You're on.
And I can't remember how much these are, but they're less than $200.
Yeah, they are.
They might even be like 129.
I think they're
anyway, they're on our website, but these are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a spotlight, you just run this on a spotlight handle.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
It creates an offset wherever your light's pointing. This is still going to be pointing.
Exactly.
Haven't found any need to really personally experience to have to go beyond using, brackets that are.
Well, I did that at the time because that's all that was around, sort of thing.
Correct. But these are quite economical. They're fine.
Yeah.
It's not. And we support a lot of professional shooters, especially roo harvesters. I would say 8 out of 10 remote mounting solutions we sell this one, as well. And we sell a fair few of the rim tops. They work well too.
Yeah.
A little bit of, you got to, put a few holes in your power beam and pop rivet in. It doesn't come with the pop rivets or the pop rivet gun. But those rim tap mounts work absolutely brilliantly. You don't want a plastic light.
No, I wouldn't.
But the power beams are all metal.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of options for remote mounting, as well, that don't include massive amounts of money. You can still run all your cables to this. We released a video yesterday for the new Falcons, and we're going to test this with a couple of others. But if you haven't, jump back a video or jump on our YouTube channel for the new Condors and Falcons about using this hub here to hardwire to an iPad or to a Samsung tablet.
That's amazing.
Lag-free operation. Oh, Jay came up with it, didn't you? Or did Andy?
No, because we had the debate about it, yeah.
There was a debate about how it could be done, and it can be done. Watch the video on it. Again, you don't need to be buying $600-$700 solutions. This is a $29.
You don't need another monitor. You don't need mounts. I run an iPad flat out.
You can do it to your phone too.
Yeah, you can.
$29 solution from Officeworks.
Yeah.
So don't be sucked into buying things that you don't need to, as well from that point of view. All right, let's get back to this other products we're talking about today. What else we got here?
You want to bump over?
Want to talk about these?
Yeah, we'll go through the newbies.
These are the new Vista Quest binoculars from NocPix.
Nockies.
They come in two variations at the moment, in the H35 and the H50. This is the H50, so it's got a 50mm focal length, or an R, because they've got built-in rangefinders. You'll see this is your thermal input, this is your rangefinder input. These are the nicest form factor thermal binoculars I've ever held in my hand. What do you think? Lightest, compact, internal and external battery. So it's got internal 18650, plus it takes an external 18650 battery. But it's the controls.
For size as well, I'd compare these to a normal pair of 10x42s.
100%.
Like they're that small, they're not bulky, they're not long, they're not wide.
And check this out.
You got your focus wheel in the middle.
What you've got here in the middle is two wheels. You've got your zoom and your focus.
Yeah.
These are fantastic.
They are great.
Now, I was taking some video the other night, which I'll throw on here too, at a deer at about 260 metres, fully magnified, and I could see four legs ahead clearly. Now, narrow field of view in the 50s because it's 4 base mag.
But that's when the 35s will shine.
We haven't seen the 35s yet. We're expecting them any day. The 35s will shine. But I'm so impressed with these.
Yeah.
I mean, just the design, like...
To get something that small and that... Like they're fine, like they're you'd know over the years.
They're in and out of any bino harness.
Yeah, and they are moving. Everyone is starting to move as close to the traditional variant as possible.
Yes.
All scopes, they're moving to get them as close and small and compact as traditional. Binos. Prime example there.
We've always talked, because, NocPix is obviously infrared. Well, infrared's now NocPix.
Are they?
Yeah, I know. Anyway, and we've always talked about how infrared design-wise have always been fantastic.
Yeah,
they've thought about things. They've you go back to like the TH50 when they first introduced the high-resolution round screens.
Yeah.
The finders, for remote mounting. Their design has always been great.
Yeah, really
sometimes they've been let down a little bit by their firmware, but their design and their sensor technology has always been fantastic, and we're seeing it in these. These are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. The only thing I don't like about them is the lens covers. Yeah. Because the lens covers, like your traditional Bino lens covers, they just punch on.
They're on that bikini.
Correct, and then they fall off and you can't find them. But what you do get though, let's open up the box, okay? Because I've got the lens covers in here. You do get a nice Bino harness, and I love this. I love the magnetic
top.
Reaching forward, okay? Because when they're on there, I hate the ones you got to kind of pull back. Yeah. These are, you know, a magnetic can go forward. But this is your, you know, your traditional, and you see this on Geovits, you see this on lots of stuff, right? They go in there and they're really easy to lose.
By the time you put this in the harness and pull them out, they're coming out without them.
Correct. Yeah, but there, I guess that solves your, you know, efficiency anyway. But it does come with a nice harness. You know, this is in a bad harness. Nice padded, you know, strap on here as well. But that magnetic forward opening, that's my favourite thing about it.
I ran these on a rabbit contract. A time ago.
Yep.
Before they were released, and they are very comfortable.
Yeah.
Even throwing them up to your eyes, like they're just, you've got complete blackout. It's awesome.
Yeah. They're really, really nice. Very, very happy and excited about these. They're not integrated night vision like we see in the Habrox, which I really love in the Habrox. They're strictly thermal, but they're flipping nice. Very, very nice.
Yes, they are.
Had them up against my XT60s, my XT50s night. I was running my Pulsar 1280s and I was running these. Yeah. And these compete very, very well against, you know, that higher sensor level. Yeah. They're very nice indeed. Okay. So that's something to look out for as we start to see more of these coming in. But if you're looking for that traditional style Bino,
small, lightweight.
Don't have ballistics in yet, but the ballistics is coming.
Yeah.
You know, as well.
I can't see why I wouldn't.
No. It's very, very cool. Maybe by the time we actually punch this video out, they will be. The other thing we got from NocPix, which we'll just quickly talk about because we're on NocPix at the moment, is the new Lumi H35R with rangefinder. How compact is this?
Infamous tiny Lumi.
Tiny Lumi with an 18650 non-polarity. You can put this battery in any way you want and it's going to work.
35mm 640 sensor.
35mm 640 sensor with rangefinder. Absolutely brilliant.
And it actually fits into a rangefinder pouch on your harness.
And the image quality on these is sensational.
It's great.
The only thing I hate is this.
Yeah.
This little, there's no magnet. There's no way to secure that. It just flaps around. It's like you did so good designing the rest, you know, not the rest. Now, typically speaking, we don't really like this format of monocular for remote mounting.
No.
But given that it's lightweight and its smallness,
we'll have to give it a go.
Yeah, well, I know someone who has and is quite happy with it. So we lent one to Rod Morris.
Oh.
And Rod's been running it remote mounted, which is quite nice. You use the curved base that we've got, but because it's so light, it doesn't matter. It doesn't put that pressure on through the base. It's actually an ingenious design. Really love it. It's very, very nice little unit, except that flipping lens cap. That's it. But I mean, that's just one thing. You know, the rest of this unit.
Do you know it'd be nice on that little flip up cap?
Yeah, flip side type cap. Yeah. You know, still front focus, you know, as well, which is nice. But while we're talking about this style of handheld, because I know you want to talk about that, why don't we talk about this first?
Oh, yeah. I just keep grabbing that because it's so small.
Yeah, I know, it's so small. Yeah, you're used to that.
The big boy. Excuse me. Condor 2.0.
2.0.
Yes. So it looks very similar to the first V1. Lot of changes, actually.
Tons of changes.
One of my favourite changes, actually there's two really good, well, one of them is a good change, one of them might be not a good change.
Right.
I don't know. One being they've finally moved away from this front focus. Yeah, it is great.
Yeah.
Another one being it now runs a 21-700.
Yeah. That bit
I like it. But
I like it and don't like it.
Yes, that's what I mean. I like it, but I don't like it.
I like it because you get the battery runtime. I don't like it because they're still hard to get batteries.
They are.
Now, I did talk to Hick Micro about this, and they said, look, this battery is going to be more popular because that's what you're now seeing in EVs.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, have never seen a battery pack in an EV, it's basically a shit ton of 18650 batteries, or now these
21-700
batteries taped together.
Yeah.
and powers the EV.
Yeah.
So apparently we're going to see more of these. It does come with 2 of them. You get a really good runtime out of them. But I love 18650s because everyone's got 18650s, you know, and you can get them from anywhere.
Yep.
So I'm being assured that these are going to become more available, but we'll see what happens. But I too love the focus up here,
yeah,
one-handed operation.
So good.
We've always, the Condor has always been our go-to handheld binocular for people walking around the bush.
And size, you know, it is bigger. It is, you know, bigger than your Lumi or your Thermtech there, but you have the option to get this in a 50 too.
Yeah.
Which they don't do the Lumi in a 50.
No, but I don't mind this actually being bigger because it
holds up so
take
nice.
It holds up, fits in your hand beautifully. But that one-handed operation, for me, like we've sold a lot of Thermtech units because of that one-handed operation. I actually love where they've put because it's on your index finger. But for walking around the bush, this just makes it even better because you can be carrying your shooting sticks.
Yeah.
And I can focus. I can do everything from one hand. You know, I love it. This is
still got
fantastic.
your rangefinder. It is running a new sensor, updated sensor in it.
Yeah, they're 15 millikelvin.
Yep.
And we're going to talk more about that in another episode.
After the other one.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to chat in the future about how we wish people stop racing to the bottom of the millikelvin tree because it's going to start causing problems with image quality at some point where everything's just going to start looking the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's a specification that really isn't. It's an industry focus and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We've seen Pulsar move to their system NetD now, which is just another way of saying our sensors may not be as sensitive. Well, Linred did this.
Linred,
Who make the Pulsar sensors. Our sensors may not be as sensitive, but when you talk about our algorithms and everything else, they become more sensitive.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which is true to a point, you know, as well. But this race to a bottom and focus on one specification, it's causing issues, potential issues.
Yeah.
But these are absolutely beautiful. These are so nice.
Have you noticed one thing?
What? The lens cap.
Yes.
I know. The magnetic lens cap. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. I'm going to say this is the best designed handheld from HIC Micro that we've had to date. The Condor, I mean, the original Condor
was a killer.
Was real nice as well, but this is a huge step forward in terms of design just by moving that focus because it's not the internal mechanisms to do that and even to get it back here is really, really well designed.
And this unit, you know, they actually bring these out now with a bracket made to put the Condor on the roof.
It does. It comes with it.
It comes
as well.
with it. There you go.
So Condor, I still prefer to hardwire these than Wi-Fi them.
Which you can do
with this and follow instructions on our video.
Yep.
The reason being as well, at the moment, the app does only support a very small screen for the new Condor and Falcons. But if you watch our video, run it, it's full screen. There will be an update in April that will increase it, but it's at the moment, follow our procedure to do it. But these are absolutely fantastic. All right, what's last up on the deck there, mate?
This is the Thermtech Cyclone 315.
You know, if they made a smaller one, you wouldn't be able to find it.
Nah. So they're only doing them in 384 sensor at the moment.
315 and 325.
Yeah, and 25 to 15 mil lens. Look, it doesn't have all your, you know, top scroll wheel focus. It's still on the front lens. Diopter. It's very basic, very easy to use. But this, without the battery, weighs 255 grams.
It is tiny.
It is the smallest thermal, and it still runs an 18650.
Yeah.
This thing is the GOAT for the smallest, most compact. And the image quality, I was playing with it just before Ben came up. Image quality on it is unreal for this unit.
We've always talked about Thermtech's algorithms, okay, because given their military drone background, you know, as well, their algorithms and their understanding of software imaging and processing has always been phenomenal.
Yeah.
This does my head in.
Yeah, I was looking through it, I'm like, this ain't a 384.
Nah, it is. But you know where I see this really good market for? One, pig hunters who want to remote mount close range.
Yep.
Because it's tiny, Wi-Fi's brilliantly, and it's really wide field of view, but awesome image quality.
Yeah.
And it's cheap.
Yep.
Right? These are sub $2,000, aren't they? It's cheap, right? But it's being nice and lightweight. You can throw it on any of these mounting options and never worry about it. Flat base through here.
Yep.
So it just mounts perfectly, okay? Secondly, bow hunters.
Yeah.
Who are ultra lightweight, carrying everything in the field, in and out of a little range.
So small.
You know, and deer hunters as well, right? For deer scrub hunters, not the guys that are sitting glassing faces and cliffs, you know.
People that are walking through the scrub.
People who are walking through the scrub, they need that ultra wide field of view. But high image quality, because normally we drop down into 15mm lenses and we don't sell many because the image quality gets pretty bad, but these are brilliant.
Yeah. This unit's not going to be good for looking at foxes at 300 meters.
It's not that.
It's not there.
It's not that unit, okay? But it's been designed for a specific purpose, and it's
so small.
It is so small. I love it. It's just unreal. It's just so small.
It's a cracker.
Yeah,
they've done a good job on that.
They've done a real good job, you know. So that is, for you know, and to have an external battery in here, that's a good design, man. They run the 18650 because if you're away for a week hunting, in and out of your pocket, you know, absolutely unreal. I think we've covered everything we're going to cover today, haven't we? Yeah. This will become more regular, we promise. We set out for it to be weekly, it was, and then it became every kind of couple of weeks, and now every couple of months. But Jake,
monthly.
We are committed. We have got set up. We've got enough staff on a Wednesday for us to record, on Thursday. Wednesday's my day off, I always think it's Wednesday. But we'll keep bringing you the content that you guys deserve.
You might get it weekly. If not, it's going to be fortnightly.
I will tell my funny story that happened yesterday at the end of the day.
Okay.
All right?
Go on.
Just to wrap up, this is a funny one. I went through a breathalyzer test up near my house yesterday on the way home. And my car is pretty distinctive. It's a 79 series Land Cruiser. It's got the number plates, you know, Hunt the Night type stuff on it, or HCN, NGH. We've got 6 letters in Victoria, 6 letters. Pull up, and the local senior sergeant's there. And he said, is this Hunt the Night? I'm like, yeah. He said, are you Ben? I'm like, yeah. And I'm thinking, the guy knows me. And I say, how do you know me? He goes, I watch Nathan's videos. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? Like, that's how you know me? You know, it's a little bit like that story when Simon from 4 Drive TV came up to our stand looking for me and didn't know who Nathan was, but he had an idea who it was because of Nate. So anyway, bit funny that, he still breathoed me, but luckily it was only 9:30 in the morning.
I picked you up this morning anyway.
Yeah, he picked me up this morning because, I got on the sauce early. Anyway, a little bit of fun story. But listen, guys, this is the stuff we do. We got some more stuff covering in terms of, we've got some cool firearms coming. Maybe next week we'll have a look at this.
I was going to brush over some today, but
the little new wedge tail is nice. I've got a lot to catch up on. We've got the new Mauser M25 coming as well, which hopefully we'll have a sample kind of soonish. The new Blaser shotgun coming. We've got
the Comir's, which could run over once we shoot them.
Yep. We could do that too. We're heaps of stuff. The Bagaras. Yeah, chassis.
We've got
Delta 4 chassis.
Tikka Aces.
Oh, man, a lot coming. So, guys, if you haven't already, subscribe, tag a vegan, because these will be more frequent, and we're back again. We say that now. In 4 months, when we do the next video, we'll be making all these promises again. Thursday. Anyway, we're done. All right, guys, we're out. Jake, good to chat.
Back to work.
Back to work.